Hey folks, how's it going? Steve Lundgren here with Nate Streeter, and we're bringing you something from the Media Analyzer 10.0. What the heck is that anyways, Nate?
Well, we didn't know exactly what to call this. We're going to review websites and display ads and all kinds of different things. And so we thought, well, we'll just call it Media Analyzer 10.0. And if we add more than 10, right now we've got 10 different things that we'll go over at each. But someday if it gets to be 11 or 12, we'll call it 10.1, 10.2, whatever.
Yeah, but at least we're way beyond a beta version on this.
Oh, yeah. Which is, I think, true. We've been reviewing ads since, 2009, I think, with this system.
Yep.
So we feel pretty good about it. And we have a good track record showing that this system really has worked well. In fact, I think in 2011 or 2012 and 2013 here, I think almost across the board, if they're rating high on these systems, we're having success. So we feel really, really confident about it. And so, so let's get into it.
Yeah, so let's show them the ad that we're looking at today.
All right, so what's your first one?
Let's see, it's Turbo Tim's.
Okay, here we go.
There we go. So, Nate, where did this come from?
Okay, so this is actually right on Facebook. It's an in-post, I think that's what they call it, in-post ad. So you guys, for Facebook users, this would come up right inside your feed, your news feed. Right. And you can see this is off an Android device. But I think it would look very similar if it was on a iOS or Windows phone too. So this is an ad in Facebook.
Right.
And these are, you guys are probably all annoyed like heck by these right now. And but let's talk about it and let's get into it a little bit. So
we thought we'd analyze this one. So it's for Turbo Tim's. Anything Automotive is the name of the company, and this is their ad. And you can see there that we've got an image at the bottom that actually has the headline in it, and then there's some text at the top. Maybe we should just read that quick so they know what it says.
Yeah, I mean, really, what you're getting to, one of the things, our first rule is our 5-second rule.
Right.
So just looking at the ad for only a few seconds, because you have to realize people are, in Facebook, heck, 5 seconds is probably ridiculous.
Eternity.
Yeah, how about half a second? So when you're talking about a print ad or a website, 5 seconds is much more appropriate. But in this case, what are people getting almost immediately? And that's what we analyze with our 5-second rule.
Right.
So I think in this case, it's mostly the picture, and the headline's really in the picture.
Exactly. Yeah. When you look at that, you get the idea that it tells a story, which I think is so great, and it's sort of this impending doom. I mean, you see this poor little innocent, delicate hand there, being threatened by this big mouse trap.
Right.
And of course, the bait there is the $89 brake job, and that's sort of where you come into this.
Exactly. Yeah. I think you're right. And getting into, I know we're going to skip around a little bit, but when we talk about pictures supporting message, this is something that's really important.
Right.
In fact, one criticism I would have here, and this is more difficult in a situation like this where you don't have much screen real estate, but there isn't any picture of cars or automotive or anything on here.
Right.
This could be a little stronger if you could somehow do that. Now, the difficulty is you don't want to take away from this really cool concept that they've been able to do visually here.
Right.
I almost would love to see this moved up. Oh, you guys don't see my hand here. I'm pointing it on the screen. I'd love to see this image moved up. Maybe take a little bit of the text out, and I'd love to have something underneath, hopefully a logo or something that would do a better job. This is just too small, especially if you figure most people are looking at this as on a 4 or 5 inch screen.
Yeah, it's kind of backwards. You've got the logo or the identification of the thing at the top instead of at the bottom.
Yeah, well, and Facebook forces you into that.
Right.
So you don't want to have this be your primary there. I think it would be nice if we had another image underneath here that would have been incorporated into this picture. And so, that would have been fantastic if we could have had that. But needless to say, this still communicates well from a 5-second standpoint, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the pictures, are good. Let's go back to the headline. What is the headline really here, Steve?
Well, it's really what's written on that Post-it note there. The $89 brake job, I think.
Yep.
And then they lead with a question. That's sort of interesting.
You really think you can get an $89 brake job? We can do pads and rotors for $200 out the door.
Yeah.
That's basically their offer, I think. If
Yeah.
no additional charges whatsoever. Just make sure you mention in this ad. And then they're really inviting people to interact with them. What if other people paid for a good brake job? What's the worst? What's the best? So this, this is good. From a social media standpoint, I like the way, I think you and I talked about this quite a bit before we reviewed this even.
Right.
So many companies are screwing this up with social. They're reading all these articles and books and stuff that are saying, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, get people to interact with you on social.
Right.
Well, you can't just ask a question like, what's your favorite paint color if you're a painter?
Right.
Like that's,
they want to get good questions.
Yeah, like this is better, because you've set up the problem, you've set up the solution, you've asked questions that are very directly relating to the problem and the solution. This is well thought out.
Right.
I'd say bravo, Turbo Tim. This is actually what you're supposed to do with social media, like be a resource to people.
And there's some emotional real estate there.
Exactly.
People have dealt with this sort of thing, and it sort of hits a button. It touches a nerve.
Yep.
Instead of just, do you prefer white paint jobs to, pink or something?
Exactly. Yeah. So have they done a good job? Okay, so we went through 5-second rule headline. And when we score these, now, did we score this specific ad, Steve?
Let's see. I think I scored it here somewhere. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong
So our
page.
scoring takes into account these 10 things as well as I think it's 4 or 5 others that we don't have listed here. And so when we score these ads, that's what it's based on. And so in some cases, we'll give you guys a score and others not. But you'll have an understanding of what we're doing and what goes into this for the most part. How did we feel about the positioning? So how are they positioning themselves against their competitors, against people's preconceived notions? How do we feel like, are they doing a good job?
You really get the whole picture when you go to their website. I think then you really get a sense of, they have kind of a wacky sense of humor, even offers like if your car is towed in by a giant eagle, you get 20% off, and that sort of thing. So it's really unusual sort of positioning, and they definitely have a sense of humor when you see the whole package.
I agree, and what you're hitting on is so important. So not only are they doing a good job of positioning themselves amongst their competitors, amongst people's previous expectations and preconceived notions, they're also doing a good job positioning themselves as sort of a quirky, fun auto shop.
Exactly.
So again, I'd say bravo, Turbo Tim, because not only are you doing a good job of positioning yourself among your competitors, among people's preconceived notions, you're also doing a good job of being unique, not just based on price, but also, like you said, with the quirky sense of humor. So, there's a bunch of, again, so many of you guys come to me and say, Nate, I don't do anything unique. Or, you start telling me what you do unique, and we both look at each other and we know that's really not unique.
Yeah, exactly.
And, this is a perfect example. Even if Turbo Tim charged the same amount as everybody else, whatever, part of their uniqueness, part of what positions them is this sort of quirky sense of humor.
Yep.
And that has nothing to do with auto repair, but the truth is it brings people in.
Right.
They want to do business with Turbo Tim.
Yeah, because they're fun.
Exactly. So you have to sort of get that sometimes your unique selling proposition or the way that you're positioned has absolutely nothing really to do with your specific product or service. It's perception. It's how you communicate yourself.
Yeah. Now this is interesting because I went through and rated this thing, and based on our rating system, it was quite low. But what I do sometimes is I'll put a parenthetical behind it because I think maybe the rating system killed it a little bit. So we try to not be too mechanical with this. So according to the system of just going through and just kind of by the letter of the law here, I gave it a 48, but then parenthetically I gave it a 75.
Sure.
So there were some areas where it was weak, but I think really this wasn't really taking into account the media that it was running into and some of the space limitations, and they were killed by things like there was really no social proof.
Sure. And they get that a little bit, like you can see. So like likes and comments. You get some social proof that way.
Right.
And it's certainly, you go to Turbo Tim's and you see how many people like them. So you're right. Within the context, we do that all the time with franchise, though. Whenever we do a franchise piece, often we're giving them numbers that aren't really what they're scoring because we know everybody recognizes the brand.
Right.
So they don't have to work so hard at some of these other things.
Because you have some credibility that's already there.
Right. So I think you're right. You have certain adjustments that you have to make based on that.
Another killer on this one was the web address at the bottom that
Talk a lot about that.
That had to do with, if you see that
agcoauto.com. That confuses the heck out of people.
Right.
Although on a little 5-inch screen, that will be a little less probably.
Hard
but
to read.
Still, I don't want to take any chances. I would have loved for that. If you have to put that on there because you bought this image from them or whatever, gosh, I'd put it in as light a gray as you possibly can. Certainly not red.
Or explain it, because it looks like that's who the company is, but it isn't. It was really confusing to me when I looked at that. A better way to do that would be, image provided by.
Yeah.
And then you get the idea of what it is you're referring to, because otherwise, it says Turbo Tim's at the top, but then it says the agcoauto.com at the bottom, and the two have nothing to do with each other.
I think you're absolutely right. Why don't we just put at the very bottom, I want a logo, or something that connects with Turbo Tim's again, even though I know I have it at the top, but I'd love that underneath the image. And then, heck, I'd put this AGCO Auto, maybe move it even up to the top of the image, and just say image provided by, and I'd put it in as small a text as you could get away with if you have to have it on there. But you don't want to confuse people. We're overanalyzing this. People are looking at it for half a second, but those are all important things.
Right.
What do you think about their call to action, their offer, Steve? I mean, was that something that you were rating well? I mean, basically, I see it as we do pads and rotors for $200, no additional charges whatsoever. That sounds like the offer to me.
Right, which is real straightforward, and they're up front with the price. I think that's really great, and they're also being realistic about it. That we're not trying to get you with the cheapest price, and we know, in fact, that there's a warning aspect here, which I think gives them credibility, because they're saying, watch out. I mean, there's people out there that are going to get you, just like this mousetrap's going to get this poor gal's hand, by if she takes the bait here. I mean, there's just so many great visual analogies kind of built into that.
It sort of reminds me, I have people come to me all the time and say, I've got a $99 system that I'm signing up for, a coaching system or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's sort of what this reminds me of. And it's not that it has no value, but it's more of this kind of bait and switch type thing where you're not going to get weekly coaching for $99 a month. Obviously, that just doesn't work.
Right.
So let's... I think the social proof, like you said, in some cases that's really built in because it's right on Facebook. People can easily access the social proof.
Right.
And you have such a small ad that you just simply can't cover all those bases as well as you normally would be able to. Yeah. The potential barriers to purchase, I think it does a pretty good job of addressing those. When I think about this, I mean, obviously the potential barriers to purchase are the bait and switch,
right?
And the cost.
So they're kind of right up front. They're being honest with you, or appear to be, and even warning you about to watch out for this sort of things. And they're going to put the price right up front. Yeah, it's $200 out the door. Right. What that means is no hidden charges.
Right.
Which is what they're trying to warn you about.
Right. And you could do a better job. Again, this is certainly one of the things that's difficult when you're talking about a Facebook ad. Is you don't really have as much space. Like, I hear when I've read through his comments here, he even said that they use high quality parts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be something that they just didn't have time to really say, up in here, since they could only really say 4 or 5 sentences. So,
exactly.
You have to sort of, when you're doing something like this, you got to pick your best.
Yeah.
And then, your best 5 sentences, sort of thinking about all this. But if I had more space, I think, Turbo Tim probably, and they would have addressed some of the potential barriers. I think the other potential barrier is the quality aspect.
Yeah.
So can you do a warranty on the brake pads? Or can you, what kind of quality are you using? That's probably something that somebody might have as a potential barrier to purchase. That they could have addressed. But I do think in the comments they did an okay job at that. So
there must be a link built into this thing that takes you to their website or something.
Yeah,
because
if
there's
you click
no phone
right on
number.
it, if you click right on it, it will bring you right to their web to their Facebook page. I mean, Facebook is kind of like they're a walled garden, so they don't want you to go. Actually, they make it a little more challenging to leave Facebook.
Yeah.
Which makes sense for Facebook. We talked about picture, the quality of the text. We've been talking about real and believable.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I just saw a few, just grammatically seemed like there was a few words missing, but they were just maybe shortening things up to make it, read quicker. But all in all, it was a good quality piece.
I think it's real and believable. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I mean,
Yeah.
and it fits within people's preconceived notions of what they're finding in their industry.
And actually, this ad is pretty both feet on the ground compared to their website.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
And positioning as a genuine resource.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, you would see our Media Analyzer 10.0
Yeah.
is showing that this is probably working pretty well. We haven't
good.
contacted Turbo Tims, but
Yeah.
we can feel pretty high confidence that this is probably working pretty well for them.
Yeah.
So we would love to review your ad
Right.
or website or marketing communicator, whatever you got. We'll review it.
Right.
Email us, Nate at StreetSmart, or you can hit me on Twitter at Nate Streeter too.
There you go.
And if you don't want us to show your ad on our reviews, it's fine. In fact,
Yeah,
the vast majority of what we review, we won't show to all our followers and stuff. So
Right.
don't worry.
No